This is a short video that goes through and looks at some of the key ideas based around how the body controls blood glucose and how that information can be used to go and answer an exam question based around it. So the best way to use this video is to go follow the link in the description below and download the broken up question so that you can go and be working through the short answer questions as the video goes along. Note down any key points or anything as the video's playing. If you need to go back and re-watch something, that would be a good idea. Like we previously said, try and fill out the shorter answer questions as you're watching, just to help you get your head around it. And finally, use your answers to those short answer questions to help construct 3 answers to the 3 longer answer questions, as these are the questions that you are more likely to come across in exams. So the first thing that we need to be aware of are what hormones are. So if we remember, hormones are chemical messages that travel from your body from some sort of gland to some sort of place where they're going to have a function. They're traveling around the bloodstream, so they're long lasting. They travel around the bloodstream until they go and they're destroyed in the liver. So some examples of different hormones. So for instance, ADH, so antidiuretic hormone, is made in the pituitary gland and affects the kidneys. Insulin and glucagon that are involved in control of body glucose are both made in the pancreas and will go and have an effect on the liver. So the first hormone that we want to speak about is insulin. Right, insulin is released when blood glucose is too high. So blood glucose needs to be maintained at a certain level, or else it will go and cause too much water to go and either move into the blood or out of the blood. It also needs to be kept at a certain level because a certain amount of glucose is needed for respiration. So if blood glucose gets too high, this is detected by the pancreas, which releases insulin. That insulin travels around the bloodstream to the liver and causes the liver to absorb that excess glucose in the blood and store it as glycogen. So the second hormone that's involved is glucagon. Glucagon is released by the pancreas if blood glucose levels get too low. So if blood glucose gets too low, this is detected by the pancreas. The pancreas will release glucagon, which travels around in the bloodstream until it gets to the liver. And this causes the liver to convert its stored glycogen back into glucose, which can then be released back into the bloodstream. One key thing to think about when we're thinking about controlling blood glucose is this phrase, negative feedback. So a negative feedback mechanism is an important type of control that we find in most types of homeostasis. It responds when conditions change from an ideal or a set point and returns those conditions to that ideal point. So there is a continuous cycle of events that happen, and we classify them all as negative feedback. So generally, if the level of something rises, a control system kicks into place that is going to go and reduce it. If the level of something falls, same again, the control system will kick into place, which goes and raises it again. So to go and summarize the control of blood glucose. So normal blood glucose is about 90 milligrams per 100 centimetres cubed of blood. So if the blood glucose level rises, this is detected by the pancreas, which will go and produce insulin. That insulin will go and cause the liver to absorb that glucose. That will cause the blood glucose level to fall, which then, by the process of negative feedback, will stop the pancreas from producing any more insulin. If the blood glucose level gets too high, this is also detected by the pancreas. The pancreas will go and release glucagon. That will go and travel around in the bloodstream until it gets to the liver, which causes the conversion of glycogen back to glucose. That will go and cause the blood glucose levels to rise, which then, same again, by the process of negative feedback, will stop the pancreas from producing any more glucagon. So, 3 questions that you can now go and think about using those shorter answers. Right, the first one is that many functions of the human body are controlled by chemicals called hormones. What is a hormone? Remember, it's important to say basically what it is, what produces them, is it long lasting or short lasting, and how is it carried around the body. The second question is to name the 2 hormones that control blood glucose concentration and explain what they do. Remember, the hormones are insulin and glucagon. You'll need to explain how insulin is causing blood glucose levels to drop and how glucagon goes and causes blood glucose levels to rise. And the third question is explain how negative feedback controls the blood glucose concentration during the first 1.5 hours and a few hours after a meal. So basically, all you're doing there is explaining what negative feedback is. So when is insulin produced? What stops insulin being produced? When is glucagon being produced? What stops it being produced? So finally, thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, leave it in the comments below and follow the link below if you still need to go and download the question to go and work through.